Okay, so just was going to give a quick overview of what I did with my setup. So everything in the engine bay, let's see, we'll start from this side. I converted my master cylinder to a Willwood unit, so it's not the stock plastic one that's in here, and I have a little remote reservoir over there that I stuck in between the ECU. And then you just block off that hose that normally goes to the clutch master cylinder. As I covered in a different video, I have a fuel filter here. That's the stock feed line, comes out and around, and I have my custom fuel rail with the fuel pressure gauge, and then it goes out. Regulator on the return line returns with a 6AN back to the tank. So I have a boost reference. Hopefully I still come in. Garage heater's coming on. Boost reference line for the fuel pressure regulator. And then you can see what I did is I actually removed a lot of the lines that sit on the front of the engine. So this line goes to the manifold that I have back here, the boost and vacuum manifold. And this line, I just have a 6AN to 3/8 adapter, and it goes, and it still has a one-way valve so you don't pressurize the brake booster. And then I got rid of those tubes that run all the way around. So on the front of it, I got rid of these, the solenoids that sit over here, and the coolant hoses. I just had somebody chop off the top and weld a cap onto it, so that way the coolant that comes out still uses the factory tube and it goes back around to where it needs to go. And then on the throttle body, there is no more coolant hoses. Intake manifold is port matched. I had 3.8 Performance do that. They do, or sorry, it's flow balanced. They do runners 2 and 3, and then that's the only mod for that one, I think. I moved the solenoids for boost and the blow-off valve back to the firewall. So I just used like a little rib nut or whatever to hold them back there. And I have a Go Fast Bits boost controller on it. But the one thing that you have to do is you have to leave the factory solenoid for boost connected. If you disconnect it, the ECU actually limits you'll do one pull and you'll get full boost on it, and then it will sense an issue and it'll limit to you like 5 or 7 PSI, something weird like that. So if you want to delete the solenoids up here like I did, and the coolant line, there's usually a little port that comes out right here. All you can do is you can just cut it flush. You could drill and tap and put like a little plug in there, or you can just, if you leave it open, way down here, I don't know if we'll be able to see it. Anyway, somewhere down here, there's one of the coolant lines. You can just put a cap on it way down at the bottom, and then that's how you can delete these coolant lines and vacuum tubes that run through here. This is basically a requirement because a lot of people run this just straight to vent to atmosphere and to a catch can. The reason that running from your valve cover to the pre-turbo on the intake is because your turbo is sucking everything in, and the point of this is to remove positive pressure. And if you vent to atmosphere, a vent to atmosphere is far less effective than having the turbo creating a negative pressure to want to suck those gases out. I used to run a catch can. I never caught any oil or anything or nothing worthwhile on it, so I just run the line just straight. So I have basically some custom intercooler piping that I did. I prefer to run the blow-off valve on the hot side. I know it's just personal preference. Most people run it on the cold side. That's just what I chose to do. So here's the modified Bk2 Turbo, and basically everything just looks factory. I have one of the old MAP stainless heat shields that they only made it for BK1, so you can see what I had to do was there's the old hole and I had to drill a new one, and then it works on the Bk2 manifold. And I made my own custom O2 housing, made a jig, did all that kind of stuff, and that's how I run my external gate. There's one other company that I know of that they just drill a hole in the manifold and then weld it on directly to the manifold. Not sure how well that works. Obviously works pretty well for them. This is actually a T25 Turbo Blanket. Fits well enough over it. Upgraded stainless steel oil line, synapse blow-off valve, and then because when you upgrade it to a Bk2 Turbo on a Bk1, the stock intake won't fit even though it flows enough. And the issue is, I can't get down there, but the issue is basically you have a power steering line that runs right there, and you have to go aftermarket so that because the turbo position changes just slightly from Bk1 to Bk2 if you're using a factory turbo, so you can't use a factory Bk1 intake. So I just did this simple one. It's just a 90-degree bend to another 90-degree aluminum bend, and then I kind of made this cheap heat shield just to help. So yeah, and then for the turbo, what I'll do is I'll put some pictures over the top, kind of show you how I machined I had the compressor housing machined to fit a 50mm inducer, and I think it's a 65mm extruder. I got a 9-blade turbine wheel, and once I had it machined, then I went out and bought a cheap die grinder, and then I just kind of ported out the compressor housing a little bit. So, and then once we go to that custom O2 housing, then it goes out back through a Tome titanium exhaust. So that's basically everything engine performance wise. Not the cleanest way to do it, but just the way that I chose to do it. So I guess that's it. Hope that helps with how I did anything. Let me know if there's any other questions. I'll try and make a video about it.